It's Victory Monday, Dolphins fans. Welcome into Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nick Roloff. Feels good to be here for a third straight week celebrating a Miami Dolphins win. Considering they started out the year 1-5 and they were absolutely horrible, yeah, I'll take what we've seen over the last month. A football team, by the way, that has won 3 straight, 4 of their last 5. I've been impressed with the way the defense has bounced back, and they actually are a respectable unit nowadays. Now, the offense still is very 50-50 and hit or miss, but the run game is improved. The passing game is certainly falling from behind. But either way, the Dolphins are winning games, and I'm not going to come up here and complain that much about it. But we do have a lot to talk about today, including playoff chances, injury news. We're going to break down Austin Jackson's return and why his solid performance is so good for the Miami Dolphins. We'll also have a little bit of a Q&A as well. Appreciate everybody spending part of their Monday afternoon with us here at the channel. Shout out your city. Let me know where the real ones are watching from, but also welcome in Mr. Producer Cooperstein into the building. What's up, fellas? How we doing? Coop, how are you doing?
I am great. Another Victory Monday. This team picking up some steam a little bit. Now, they certainly do have some things to work on. We'll talk about it. The quarterback was mid at absolute best. You could say less than mid. And look, I still think they're looking for consistency on the offensive end of the football, but I do think they may have potentially found it on the defensive end.
Yeah, we got Captain in Miami. Paul says stop with making the playoffs nonsense. Listen, I'm not saying it. People are going to ask me. People are going to wonder what the chances Miami has to make the playoffs. So I'm just here to inform the people here. Don't get mad at me. Don't shoot the messenger. You're the people who want to see who ultimately can make the playoffs and what the chances are.
We have told you it's probably not happening.
John is Corpus Christi. Mike says, Rolly, will you move up or down? I guess it depends on if you use hashtag Dolphins. Oh, you did. Good job. I guess I will move up. That's what I say I move up. Coop's going to move down.
I've been moving down, even though I've been, doing more and more, but, that's fine. Whatever.
Jonathan Soto is in Melbourne, Florida. Timothy in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. We got Magazine Arkansas from Robert Williams.
Stupefy.
Yeah.
From Stuttgart.
Listen, nobody is giving you guys false hope, man. No one over here at Dolphins Today is saying Miami's making the playoffs. We're just telling you what the chances are and what you need to be rooting for. No one here at the channel has once said that we're making the playoffs. I'm on your shit today, Paul.
That came out of nowhere.
I just can't stand it. If you go back at all of the content that we've put out over the last 3 months, there is not a world ever since Miami started the year 1-5 that I said we'd make the playoffs, which is why that comment infuriated me. Giving false hope. It's on you guys that has the hope.
Mike said
I didn't do it.
Mike said I'm moving down, so I might just ban him from the channel.
He said that I'm moving up. I've never been higher than I think 9.
I was number 1 in both rankings.
Yeah, it sounds like you paid him off.
Well, apparently not if I'm moving down again.
Well,
what a
joke.
joke.
Got to make it in. You got to make it in. Well, I'm Paul. I just wanted to make sure because you come in here and say stop talking about the playoffs. You're giving false hope. Makes it seem like you think I said we're going to the playoffs. I didn't say that whatsoever. What's up, Mark in Palm Springs, California? You're convincing yourself, Mark, is that he'll make the playoffs.
Well, here's the problem. Even if the Dolphins win every single game from here on out, they still need a lot of other things to happen outside of their control.
Oh,
a lot.
That is an understatement.
A lot of
That
things.
is an understatement. But the Dolphins did win yesterday, and if you're fired up about beating the New Orleans Saints, spam those W's. It's Victory Monday. Spam those W's. Get down the live chat and spam those W's. Ooh, Lane Kiffin introductory press conference.
Oh, chills. That's a hell of a suit.
It almost looks like he has an Adidas logo on it.
Yeah, kind of.
He's pretty tan.
Yeah, he's probably in Florida getting some sun.
Well, he's in Louisiana.
I'm saying he probably was in Florida getting some sun after the game on Saturday.
He was in Oxford.
So they say.
Captain spamming those W's, slaying Cat, Arnold, Mike, Stoopfi. Philip, Robert. All spamming those W's. Like I said, we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to break down the performance from Austin Jackson on Sunday as he returned to the lineup for the first time since week 1. We're going to talk about injury news. We'll talk about not if the Dolphins can make the playoffs, but the chances Miami has to make the playoffs, and it is not very high. Mike says, I just asked you if you want to move up or down. So if you said move up, you would have been moved up. Maybe you changed your mind, says Mike. You want to be up or down in the rankings?
I already know where I should be in both rankings, and it's number 1.
No, it shouldn't.
Absolutely.
That means you're saying you're better than me. Wrong.
I got to have confidence in myself, right?
No.
No?
No.
You can be number 1 in NFL.
I should be number 1 in the NBA.
Number 1 in NFL.
And NBA.
You can have number 2 in the NBA.
Definitely NBA.
Definitely?
Definitely. All right, let's move on here. The Dolphins may have beat the Saints, but I don't think they played very well. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Grade the Dolphins' performance against the Saints. It's okay to be critical, even if you win. Scale 1 to 10. I get 3.4.
Oh, man.
I think they played horrible.
I was going to go a little higher than that. I would say like a 5-7.
Like, I truly believe if they were playing any team that wasn't the Jets, Titans, Saints, they would have lost
Giants?
that game. No, Giants would smoke us. I actually think if we were played on a neutral site, the Giants would be favored by 6 points, and I would take the Giants.
Stop it.
They would smoke
You're saying
us.
if they played the same way they did yesterday?
In general. The Giants, I have a statement.
I would put my
I think
life.
the Giants are maybe the best 2-10 football team in the history of the NFL.
I would put my life on the Dolphins beating the Giants.
They might be the best 2-10 football team in NFL history.
They're horrific, dude.
They are going to beat the Patriots today.
No, they will not.
Yes, they will.
Do you want to bet on that? I'll side bet you on
Do you
that.
want to take? I'll take Giants plus 7.5. You take Patriots.
Oh, it's
7.5.
7.5. That's a big spread. I don't like big spreads in the NFL.
Anyway,
I'll take Patriots money line though.
I'm not. That's like plus 250. Are you giving me 2 to? Let's go 3 to 1 odds.
It was 250. That's 2.5 to 1.
Is it? I don't know what it is. Let's check it out. It is. It's plus 295, so 3 to 1 odds. If you do 3 to 1 odds, I'm in.
So, and the math is what? So if we,
Let's say
I win 10, you win 30.
Bet $10. If the Patriots win, I give you 10. If the Giants win, you give me 30.
Are you in?
Yeah.
You actually don't think the Patriots
I
are
think the
winning?
Giants win tonight
Can I hear some of the reasoning?
because Patriots offensive line super banged up.
Yep.
No Will Campbell at left tackle. No Jared Wilson at left guard. Center Garrett Bradbury has an illness. He might not even play.
Ooh.
The Giants' strength of their team is their defensive line. Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence. The Patriots have won 9 games in a row. It just feels like a trap game. Like Jackson Dart's back from concussion protocol. Like I just think the Giants win.
You're swaying me. I don't know if I want to put money on it now.
I'll do the money line bet with you.
I don't know if I can do that.
Okay. Just saying. All right, we got off topic here. But I see 5s, I see 2s, I see 10s. I see 4s, 3s, 7s, 5s, 8s, 4.5s. You know, I don't think they played well yesterday. I know that.
Well, they didn't play well, and they weren't coached very
I don't
well.
think they were coached well either. We got a super chat. We'll get back on screen here in just a second. But if you want the show to start, make sure you hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get to 35 likes before we start the first segment. 35 likes. I am streaming the Heat game today, by the way, a.k.a. Miami, with that comment says, like it if you want Nick and Coop to stream the Heat game. We might have Coop on some Heat streams, I think, probably in February, maybe January, February, once the NFL season concludes. But for now, it's still going to be Rolly solo. Mike, you says I'm going to be in the 12 to 15 range. That's going down.
Rolly should be number 1 in NFL and number 2 in NBA.
Oh, you're killing me. Shout out to Paul. Rolly, I still have nothing but love for you. Listen, I'm just teasing you, Paul. I just saw a little comment, and I clapped back. Listen, here's an understanding here. If you say something, I'll come at you because you see me. I don't see you. I just see an icon and a name. I'll go right at you. I got no issue with it. But I respect the people that can take it and give it back.
I just love when you go from 0 to 10 in an instant.
Yeah, like me and this guy Macmon on the Heat channel, we just go at it. And he's in there every stream. He just thinks Bam Adebayo sucks. And it drives me nuts.
There was someone yesterday who in the Dolphins chat goes, "Why doesn't Rolly do Heat streams anymore?"
Yeah, like that pissed me off. Like, oh, sorry, I didn't do a Heat stream during Thanksgiving week.
So good.
I have a life too, you know.
That's awesome.
Oh my goodness. But anyway, let's get to 35 likes. We're at 23. We need 12 more likes. Hit that thumbs up icon if you want to get the first show off the ground. Coming up on today's live show, we got Miami Dolphins news following the game against the New Orleans Saints. I want to look at Austin Jackson's return for the Miami Dolphins. We grade his return, see how he played, and if this changes how I think around him long term with the Miami Dolphins. We will also do a Q&A on today's show. So if you want in, use hashtag Dolphins in the live chat with a question or super chat. Mike Nintendo Master does have a question in. It's a good question. But if you want to get in the mailbag, use hashtag Dolphins or super chat. But we're not starting the show until we get to 35 likes. We're at 28. So we need 7 people to step up and hit that
Who's it gonna be?
icon. 7 people stepping up right now. Who can do it? Who can step up, call the ISO, and make the play? We got 29, so we're 6 away. 31, 4 away. Kevin says, I don't watch basketball, but you do a great job with basketball games. Thank you. I think I'm actually better at basketball than football. Just a hand up, like, true the matter.
Well, basketball is your number one sport.
That's my favorite sport. I have a more distinguished background in basketball. I played it longer. I just understand the game more. I'll just be honest with you.
You're a coach.
I coached. I was a 2-year coach at St. Bonaventure University club basketball. Fun fact, took our team to the regional tournament. First time in St. Bonaventure club basketball history.
You were all first team JCC?
I was. That's what they say. I just like basketball more, too. I understand the game more, so I'm a little bit more passionate about that. But we still try to give you the best.
Oh, this is a good question. What's you and Coop's prize picks for tonight's game?
You'll have to tune in and see. Me and Coop actually collaborated on it.
We cooked one up.
This is actually like the only time that I collaborated with Coop on a Heat prize picks. We collaborate on the Dolphins every week. But when it comes to the Heat games, I don't collaborate with anyone other than myself until today.
True.
So, AK Miami, I'll see you there later today, and we'll make it known. Best team in Florida is the Magic. Prove you wrong. Paul, well, I guess we'll find out this Friday. Heat Magic Part 2. And then they play again the 9th in the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. We advance.
The best team in Florida is the Gators.
They are horrible. All right.
They will be in the second weekend, and you know that.
I can't guarantee that.
Oh, do we smell a U.S. currency wager?
We might. Can't guarantee that. They might be a 4 seed, get upset by the bodies out of the 8-10 at the 13 seed. Uh-oh.
I would never hear the end of it.
Yeah, you would probably have to stop working here.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into the first segment. We did get to 37 likes. Remember, get those questions in hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat. Let's get into the first segment on today's show. Welcome into Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nick Roloff. Some news to discuss after the win against the Saints in Week 13. That is the 3rd straight win for the Fins. They beat the Commanders, Bills, and Saints. Obviously beat the Falcons a couple weeks prior to that. So their winners are 4 of their last 5. We're going to talk some news plus injury updates. We'll look at some playoff chances at the end of today's show as well. But make sure you do subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 79K. Join the family. Now, the first update is on the only player that got banged up in the game on Sunday against New Orleans. Fullback Alec Ingold left the game in the second half with a stinger. He was listed as questionable to return, and Mike McDaniel said he is labeled as day-to-day. Now, Alec Ingold is obviously a very pivotal part of this Dolphins offense. He is utilized in the run game a lot, even in the play-action game. Now, if he were to miss time, Miami would have a couple different options to replace him. I think they could utilize Julian Hill in that same role as that fullback slash tight end that moves around from one side to the other side in motion. You could also use Daniel Brunskill, who still got a lot of snaps in that 6 O-line personnel package this past Sunday. I'm very happy Miami continued to use that package, and it provided dividends once again in the running game. But we'll ultimately monitor to see if Alec Ingold will be available to play this Sunday against the New York Jets. But more injury updates, specifically on the players looking to return from IR. Austin Jackson, Darren Waller played on Sunday, so now we're down to 3 guys still waiting to return. That being Andrew Meyer, who has been on the PUP/IR list from the start of the season. Jason Sanders, same thing. And James Daniels, who obviously got hurt in that Week 1 game against the Indianapolis Colts. Sounds like they're not going to be here next week, as Mike McDaniel said to be patient on their practice window being open. And I'll be honest here, we're approaching Week 14. We got a game on December 7th. The season ends on January 5th, 6th, or 7th. I forget the day, but it's one of those days. If they aren't going to be playing in Week 14 on December 7th, then why is there any belief that they will play at all for the remainder of the season? Like, I have now written it off in my mind with those 3. I'm not even that mad about Jason Sanders because a kicker lower body injury, that's obviously going to be pretty important, and Riley Patterson has been nails all season. But the one person I am frustrated with is James Daniels. This is a player that Miami invested in this offseason. I know Chris Grier made the investment, no longer with the team, but Mike McDaniel, obviously, as the head coach and play caller offensively, is going to sign off and tell Chris Grier which players he wants to add to his offense. And they clearly view James Daniels as a person who can fit in this Dolphins offensive line and work and improve that interior offensive line. They signed him to a 3-year, $24 million deal this offseason, and of course they backloaded most of the contract, and he's not even going to pay it off whatsoever because he's not playing for the Miami Dolphins whatsoever this season. I mean, he played 4 snaps, and then, boom, done for the year. He has 2 years left on his contract, and you see they could save money and not have that much dead cap if they wanted to cut him this offseason. I do not anticipate Miami doing that. You do not sign someone to a 3-year deal and release them after 1 year, even if they only played in 1 drive the entire season. But it's just frustrating, man. It really is, because you made an investment into the offensive line this offseason. You signed Daniels to a contract. You traded up in the 2nd round to draft Jonah Savianaya. And you're like, okay, we feel good about Patrick Paul, who's been awesome this year. We know Aaron Brewer is a stud, and we have Austin Jackson returning at right tackle. We just need to improve from Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg up front. Well, they thought they did that with Daniels and Savianaya, but Jonah has been horrible, and Daniels has only played 1 drive. So it has been incredibly annoying. Like, you made an investment. I came up here and told you in the offseason, the Dolphins' offensive line will be better than it was last season. Because how could it be worse? They had 2 of the worst guards in football, and they replaced them with a 2nd-round pick, top 50 selection, and a free agent who got signed to a 3-year, $24 million deal. But then you have the injuries. Austin Jackson goes down. And it's like, I'll be honest, we looked at that projected offensive line for this season, and I do not think that you can count on all 5 of them starting for Miami in 2026, whether it's Jonah, whether it's Jackson, or Daniels. Like, is there any confidence in the 3 of them to be on the football field healthy, playing above average football? I don't think so. The only ones you can count on is Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer. More coming here in a second, but do you have confidence in this Dolphins offensive line moving forward? Pin comment on today's show. Type Y for yes or type N for no. We're going to talk more about Austin Jackson here in a second, but I do want to briefly mention Jonah Savianaya because I have been hard on him all year long. Should I have been a little bit easier? Maybe, but I think when you trade up in the 2nd round to draft an offensive lineman who was kind of proposed to us as a day 1 starter and could fit in this system, yeah, I expected at least not the worst offensive guard in football type of production. But that was the case from weeks 1 to week 9. Now, over the past 3 weeks, I think it certainly has gotten better for Jonah, but there are still a lot of lapses up here. And I can deal with some physical challenges because you can improve on that. What I can't deal with is the mental misjudges. And there was one play specifically, and I know it's only one play out of 60 offensive snaps for Miami on Sunday, but the Saints brought a four-man pressure. They brought three on the D-line, and they brought a linebacker from the second level. Well, what happens? Patrick Paul shifts at left tackle to the outside to take the edge rusher. Jonas Savinaya moves to the inside, closer to Aaron Brewer at center on a shift to take the guy that was lined up over him. And then Aaron Brewer at center shifted left. But everybody shifted left. So there was a clear directive from Tua or Aaron Brewer that we're shifting left to pick up this pressure, especially if it comes in from that linebacker spot. Jonah goes right. He takes the left guard, and then the linebacker comes in untouched because Aaron Brewer couldn't get around fast enough to make up for Jonah's mishap. Like, that's the stuff that frustrates me. Like, Jonah's mental misjudgments and lapses is the part that needs to improve the most. He's getting better physically and actually performing the blocks, but can we do better up here? That's what I need. But we're going to segue this into some conversation about Austin Jackson at right tackle as well, because Mike McDaniel asked about his return. McDaniel said he probably exceeded my expectations to a degree. And I'll be honest, I actually would agree with Mike McDaniel here. I thought Austin Jackson was very, very good in this game. In his PFF grades versus the Saints, graded out in the 60s at all metrics, right? Overall, run block, pass block, didn't allow a sack, did allow a couple of pressures there. But when you watch the film on Austin Jackson, I think it was very important to see the positive snaps in tape on film. And we're actually going to do more of a deep dive on Austin Jackson on a video coming out on Tuesday morning, so be on the lookout for that. But I am absolutely happy with his return. For a veteran to not play football since September 6th or 7th or whenever it was, so practically 2 full months, to return and play better and good football, that is very positive in my mind. I am very happy with the return that Austin Jackson had. Coming up in just 1 second, we're going to talk quarterback. Tua. He has to be better. Mike McDaniel realized it. We're going to talk about that and updated playoff chances. But it is Cyber Monday, Dolphins fans, and grab this rivalry hoodie on sale for Cyber Monday, $30 off. All sizes available. Was $89, now $59. Not going to be on sale much longer, folks, so go grab yours right now. Links in the description and comments of today's video. chatsports.com/DolphinsCB sale. Go grab yours now before it runs out. I don't think there's any way around it. Tua was certainly disappointing on Sunday against the Saints, and it's been a disappointing season for Tua Tagovailoa from start to finish. I mean, from the 3-interception game against the Colts to begin the year, to the interception late against the Bills and late against the Patriots in weeks 2 and 3. Like, it just hasn't been a good year for the newly signed extended quarterback. This is the first year of that 4-year contract extension. And Mike McDaniel even recognized that as well, saying, I wouldn't say Tua played his best game. On the pick, he could have thrown it to Waller. He also had what Achan would say, a very catchable ball. Hill had a drop. It was a little herky-jerky in the pass game. There were some plays made in the second half by Tua, but there were some plays made that we would like to have back. And I appreciate Mike McDaniel giving us like a 50-50 answer. I mean, he certainly recognized that it was not a strong performance from Tua and the Dolphins' offensive passing attack, but he also was a little bit critical, as he should have. I mean, this is a bad performance from Tua. He barely completed 50% of his passes, and I know it was rainy conditions, but I don't want to hear those excuses because other quarterbacks around the league are able to go play good football in poor football conditions. He had a QB rating of 55.9, and he had 3 turnover-worthy plays. He threw 1 interception. He could have easily thrown a second when he threw that deep ball into double coverage to Jalen Waddle. And then also in the second half, he missed a throw to Waddle where Quincy Riley, the rookie Louisville defensive back, dropped an interception. I mean, this type of quarterback play from Tua simply will not fly against superior opponents. It is why Miami is 5-7. I mean, I don't want to throw shade, but think about the Dolphins' 5 wins this season. They beat the Jets, bottom 5 team in football. the Saints, bottom 3 team in football. The Falcons, bottom 7-8 team in football. They beat the Commanders, bottom 10 team in football. And they beat the Bills. So the Bills is a good win, but you dominated that game on the ground and defensively. You didn't win that game because of Tua. And you didn't win really any of the other games this season because of Tua either. So I don't want to be the pessimistic guy here, but just because Miami is winning football games doesn't mean it is rainbows and sunshines in Miami when it comes to Mike McDaniel and Tua, because it's not. The coaching still has not been elite. The quarterback play has still been very, very bad, but they're playing opponents that have been struggling, and they're really dominating on the ground and defensively, which is why this team has been able to stack a couple of wins here over the past 5 weeks. And let's get into the playoff picture, as Miami has now won 3 in a row, 4 in their last 5, to get their record on the year at 5-7. And the playoff picture is certainly getting very interesting here. Heading into Monday Night Football, now this obviously could change if the Patriots beat the Giants and move to 11-2, and they'll regain the number 1 record in all of football and in the AFC. But I'm really just focusing in on that wild card picture. The Bills won, the Chargers won, the Colts won. Or lost, excuse me. So all 3 teams are 8-4. And Miami there, you see it, 4th team out in the hunt, trailing the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Texans. There is a very pivotal game in Week 14 coming up here on Sunday Night Football between the 7-5 Texans and the 6-6 Chiefs. I think the loser of that game might as well be eliminated from the NFL playoffs. But why is this interesting to me? Well, this Colts and Chargers schedule over the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks of the season is certainly not easy, and you've got injuries to Justin Herbert and Daniel Jones. But if you're someone who has a lot of hope in making it to 10-7 and making the playoffs, I still don't feel very great about it, folks, because we have detailed it. 2 weeks ago, if the Dolphins won out to get to 10-7, their chances of making the playoffs was about 32%. Well, then they beat the Commanders, go into a bye week. Coming out of the bye week, if they won out, their chances of making the playoffs was at 23%. So it went down because of the other results in the league. And now, even after the Dolphins winning, so the Miami Dolphins are doing their job. They've won 3 straight games. But because of the other results around the NFL, the percentage chance of Miami making the playoffs has went down again if they win out to 15%. You would need absolutely historic collapses from the Bills, from the Colts, from the Chargers. Now, when you look at the Colts' schedule, all 5 of their games in the remaining season is against teams with at least 7 wins. I mean, how crazy is that? They still got to play the Texans. They still got to play the Jags, the Seahawks. Like, the Colts' schedule is a gauntlet. The Bills don't have an easy schedule either. They still have to play the Eagles, the Bengals, and the Patriots. The point I'm trying to say is this. Yes, some of these teams Miami is chasing hard schedules. It's probably not going to happen. And I want people to know, we'll update you on the chances Miami has of making the playoffs, but I do not think under any circumstances Miami will be playing in mid-December. That'll do it for today's episode. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us here on this show. We'll be back tomorrow with a pair of videos and live on Thursday as well. So subscribe and join the family. Woo! 1 segment down, Mr. Cooperstein.
Yeah, that was solid. I thought we had, some good information in there. And the fact that the Dolphins, like you said, are doing their job, yet their chances have dwindled.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, this is not good.
No, not good at all. I mean, it's a shame because, yes, they're playing well, but they're playing well with no real reward for it. To the point where
I mean, you're building. You're building. I mean, obviously, this team, Mike McDaniel is trying to win to save his job. You've got players obviously playing for their starting position next season, if it's with Miami or elsewhere. So there's certainly still stuff to play for if you're Dolphins coaches, or Dolphins players. But yeah, they're not going to result in playoff. That's for sure.
And does them playing well result in Mike McDaniel keeping his job?
It certainly should not. and I will still be very much on this train. You will not see a switch up from me. I don't care if Miami makes the playoffs. Like, I really don't. If they get that 15% chance, Miami cannot. Oh, interesting news.
Me as well. You?
I don't know. The Lions claimed Hayden Rucci off waivers.
Oh,
from
okay.
Miami.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Hayden Rucci, a player that's been on the Dolphins practice squad for 2 weeks, or excuse me, for 2 years.
2 years.
And was on the active roster for 3 weeks before Darren Waller returned. He just got claimed by the Lions, so he won't be returning to the P squad for Miami. You're smiling over there. There's something else, too.
No, that was it. I promise.
Liar.
That was it. I
liar,
swear to God.
liar.
That was it.
Coop's the worst liar known to mankind.
That's not true.
You were smiling at your phone for a minute and a half. There's obviously something else.
No, it definitely wasn't.
You couldn't tell me a worse lie.
It wasn't. I don't know what you want from me.
Couldn't tell me a worse lie. All right, we got one more segment until we do our Q&A to round out the live show. I know we need more questions.
We absolutely do. Let me go check and see how many we have right now. I think we have one.
We have one question from Mike Nintendo Master as we head into Week 14 with a game against the Jets. Get on the show. Q&A time.
I demand at least 3.
Hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat. Super Chat guarantees it. Hashtag Dolphins at the mercy of producer Coop. Yeah, let's get 3 more questions. Let's enter the next segment with at least 4 questions.
We have to.
At least 4 questions. Let's see some questions. What do you want to know here?
Dude, that
Joey D. Oh, you got to use hashtag Dolphins, Joey D.
I didn't realize how tough that Colts schedule was.
Oh, it's a gauntlet.
Yeah.
It's absolute. Like, is there a world they finish 1-4 and finish the year 9-8? I think so.
There absolutely is.
They've already lost 2 in a row. They went from 8-2 to 8-4.
AKA Miami, use hashtag Dolphins and you'll get on the show.
AKA Miami. I mean, just like what Coop said. Got to use hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat. Got to do it. There we go, Joey D. There we go. Follow Joey D's lead here, folks.
That's 2.
We need 2 more before we start the next segment. We like doing Q&As because it's our opportunity to interact with you guys in the live chat on these live shows.
Even if Rolly blows up on you.
I won't do that during a Q&A.
No, you never. Hashtag Dolphins. What position will Jonas Savaiinaia play next year?
Coop, what are your thoughts on if the who should get into the college football playoffs? I'll ask you that while we wait for some questions.
Great question.
There's a question from AKA Miami. We need one more, though. We need one more question.
The Texas argument's very interesting. For and against. Notre Dame, I think, deserves to be in.
All right, you want to hear my thoughts?
Yeah, I would.
Ohio State, guarantee.
Obviously, they're the best team.
Indiana, guarantee.
Obviously.
Georgia, guarantee.
Correct.
Oregon, guarantee.
Correct.
Texas Tech, guarantee.
Yep.
Ole Miss, guarantee. Got to do it. Got to do it.
I don't disagree, but don't be shocked if they are not in the dance.
Texas A&M, guarantee. Oklahoma, guarantee.
Why is Oklahoma guaranteed?
Because they're 10-2.
Okay.
They've had the hardest schedule in all of college football this year, and they're 10-2.
All right.
Like that's all I got for you.
Fair enough.
They could have. I mean, the last 4 games of this.
No, it's been unbelievable.
Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and LSU. They won 4 in one of those games.
Yep.
It's impressive. Okay, so Oklahoma guarantee. There's 8 guarantees. Now we get into what we got to talk about.
Correct.
Here. We have the American winner. I think is a guarantee.
They're in. Yes,
Tulane
absolutely.
or
North Texas.
And then you have to talk about ACC winner or the
Next group of 5.
next group of 5 winner?
The JMU coach just left.
I think it's going to be the ACC winner.
I do too.
So let's say Virginia wins. Virginia in.
Yep.
That's 10. And then we have 2 at-larges.
It's Notre Dame.
Incomplete.
Out.
Miami and Alabama.
If Texas
Those are
didn't
my
get in
12.
over Miami, I'd be pissed.
Why?
Why would we play Ohio State then?
Miami had a big game against Notre Dame in the non-con.
They did. If Texas didn't play Ohio State, they're in the playoff. That's kind of where I'm like they deserve to be in, because if they didn't play Ohio State, if they played Rice, they're 10-2 and they are a mortal lock to be in.
Yeah. But don't lose to Florida.
Agreed. Don't lose to 4-8 Florida.
There's no way, in my opinion, that Notre Dame should be in. And Notre Dame gets in.
I don't disagree.
Travesty. I said this a month ago.
You did. Yes, you did.
I actually said I don't care if they win out. If Notre Dame gets in with the only 2 good teams they've played all year, well, they did beat USC, so give them credit there. But it was at home. But Miami and Texas A&M, 2 good teams they faced, lost.
They did.
Now, where things will get thrown a wrench into things, BYU wins.
If BYU wins, then another at-large is out.
BYU wins because that is now another champion in. And the ACC champion won't get it.
They wouldn't get in either. Correct.
That's funny, man.
I know Sark is politicking heavy. He's basically telling ESPN that if you don't put us in, we are not going to play Ohio State on your network next year.
Yeah.
So, does ESPN want that revenue?
That's
if so,
crazy to phrase it like that.
Put us in the playoff.
How about JMU, by the way, in their conference title game is 22.5-point favorites? How ridiculous is that? Is he coaching that?
He is. The JMU coach is coaching.
We got BYU, neutral site BYU Texas Tech. That being a 12.5-point spread is kind of crazy to me. Is that not crazy?
12.5. That's big.
And then the next highest spread is 2.5. Or 4.5.
Did BYU not beat Tech?
No, they got smoked in Texas.
Who was Tech's loss? I don't remember who. It was.
Arizona State.
That's right.
Yeah. Interesting, too. Did we get enough questions?
Yeah, we got 4 of them. We have 5 total questions.
All right. That'll work for now. I'm looking at these spreads, and now I've really got to – I don't know what to do here. Cool.
Yeah, you've got a predicament. I don't think you picked the biggest one, right?
I'm down by 1.5, right?
Yes. Yes,
That's
a point
what
and a
it
half.
is?
Yes.
So I just got to pick one of these 2.5-point dogs.
And hope you pick right.
And hope I pick
and he picks wrong.
A different one. And I hope he picks wrong.
I can be bought and give inside information.
Would you do that?
I can be bought.
That's fucked up.
I can be bought. I'm not saying I would. I'm saying if you want it that bad, I can be bought.
I would be willing to give you if you gave me the pick and it ultimately resulted in me winning the pot, I would give you $50.
I'll consider your offer.
I would give you $50
out of a $900 pot.
I think it would be more than that. That's like $50 for inside information. That's good stuff.
Would that be morally wrong?
I don't know. It depends on who's a bigger friend to you at this point.
I was the best man at Grant's wedding.
Then it's probably a very immoral thing to do. But do you want that $50?
Do I want $50 or not?
I want that $50. Yeah, because I could pick any of these guys and surpass him. It's just all about picking a different one.
Correct.
And him not getting his correct.
Correct.
I mean, everybody else is going to probably be picking BYU, which is nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because, if BYU wins, we both could be lapped. Anyway, we got to get going here because we do actually have...
Yeah, we do need to get going.
Because I have stuff to do. My God. All right, Coop, let's get into the Austin Jackson segment.
Yep.
You're going to be part of the segment?
Do you want me to?
No, it's up to you.
Let's go. I'll do it. We can 2-man it.
Okay. Let's get into this next segment on Austin Jackson. Austin Jackson finally returned to the Dolphins offensive line, starting at right tackle on Sunday against the Saints. And I wanted to go through his performance because over the last 6 games of the season, he just played once, we got 5 more to go. I thought one of the key things Miami should be eyeing and be focusing on is the evaluation of Austin Jackson. And I think it's very important that he displays an ability to play at an above average level in the final 6 weeks of the year. And I think he did that at least in his first test against the Saints. Now, the Saints don't have that good of a defensive line nor defense, but him playing at the level that he did, I think is very important to the Dolphins. And I'll explain why here. Well, he's entering his final year of his contract. Remember, he signed a 3-year extension worth about $35, $36 million just a couple of years ago. So 2026 is the final year of his deal. He's got a $9.8 million base salary. He gets a $1 million bonus if he's on the roster on March 13th. It's the 3rd day of the new league year. And you aren't really going to save a lot of money if you were to release him prior to June 1st or even post June 1st. It's not going to be something where you save $5 or $6 million. It would be like 2 or 3 at most. So if you cut him, would have to really cut him for good reasons, whether it be an inability to be on the football field or just a decline in play after the injury. Well, he kind of showed that it might not be a decline in play because he graded out very nicely against the Saints on Sunday. And as I combed through the film, I was really impressed with what he did. And his versatility, not only as a pass blocker, but in the run game and an athlete getting out on the perimeter on some of these tosses and pulls and sweeps, it was really on display. And if you had the chance to look at his PFF grades or some of the tape, I want to know your thoughts. Grade the return of Austin Jackson. I'm going to give you my grade here in just 1 second, but I want to hear yours first. A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going with a solid B. So if you want me to scale it 1 to 100, I would give it about an 85 or an 86. I thought he was really impressive. And I think what he does at such a high level, which is why he was a first-round pick 4 or 5 years ago out of USC, and why he ultimately got that extension with the Dolphins after moving to right tackle, was because of his ability to get off the line of scrimmage and get downfield with athleticism, but also physicality. And I wanted to use this play as an example here with this run for Austin Jackson. And there were so many good plays on film, and I'm just circulating this one. Like, I thought he did an excellent job sealing the edge almost every time they ran a toss or a sweep to his side. He would turn that outside guy inside and allow those pullers and Achane to get to the outside. But this play was an under center run, and the line of scrimmage was at the 40-yard line right here. And Jackson is double teaming with Cole Strange, who had a fantastic day, by the way, in this game, about 3-4 yards downfield. But Ollie Gordon, look at the C that he has here. This ended up being a 9-yard run up the middle. But Jonah Savinaya laying a great block. Look at Jonah making a play for once. You got Aaron Brewer downfield. You got the double team right there as well with Strange and Jackson. He hits Granderson, who got engaged with Strange. Jackson hits him to create an easy cutback lane right between the tight end and Jackson there, and even gets a little bit of a hand on Demario Davis, that linebacker there, and ended up being a 9-yard run up the middle. This is just one example of an elite play from Austin Jackson, but when you watch the tape, you watch the film, these things are happening consistently in this game on Sunday against the Saints, and it just goes back to my point I'm making here that I was impressed with Austin Jackson's return. It is not easy to miss 2 weeks or 2 months of the year, and then get back on the field and playing well above average football. But that is the case here. And him returning to right tackle almost makes this offensive line complete. Obviously, the only man missing here is James Daniels, who will continue to be out through Week 14 against the New York Jets. But Cole Strange actually had his highest graded game of the season this week. He was the second highest graded Dolphin player in this week. I mean, is that a sign of Cole Strange playing better? Or is that a sign of, Austin Jackson is such a good right tackle that he's able to help out Cole Strange to a degree where he plays his best game of the season? I kind of feel like it's the latter, right? And not only is his play on the football field going to help the Dolphins be better offensively and more balanced and have a stronger offensive line, but it's awesome for many other reasons as well. Two of them in my mind. One, if he plays well, maybe you sit here and say, okay, he is going to be someone who we trust to be back on the field starting at right tackle for us in 2026. But you can also say, all right, he's playing very, very well here. He's got good momentum rolling into the offseason. Maybe we trade him and recoup a draft pick in the offseason and replace him at right tackle, which is what I think Miami should ultimately do. And I'll explain why I think that here in 1 second. But this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, which means we got bowl games. We got basketball games. We got playoff pushes. And while we're all making decisions on what to eat and what gifts to buy, it's always good to be right on Prize Picks. And it feels good to be right when we're taking more than on Devon Achane fantasy score every week because he's just been an absolute wagon. And there's a new feature alert as well, early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Coop and I got active for this game between the Dolphins and Jets this upcoming week. Less than Breece Hall rushing yards. Dolphins' run defense has been improving, folks. More than Devon Achane receiving yards. Achane didn't have a catch in this game against the Saints. No way he goes less again. And I'll go more than on Jalen Waddle receiving yards as well. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Why do I think it is smart for the Dolphins to trade Austin Jackson this offseason if he continues to play well and rise his stock? It's because of this right here. Jackson told reporters after the game the reason why he has been out is turf toe, and he will have to potentially get surgery following the season. Listen, I appreciate Jackson returning from an injury that could require surgery, but are we serious? He's got to get surgery again? This guy can't stay on the football field. And it's sad. It's hard because he is very, very good, I think, when he's on the field at that right tackle position. We saw it in 2023. We saw it in the first half of the season in 2024. And we see what he can do for Miami when he's on the field, a la this past Sunday. But if you are a competent, good organization, you can't continue to rely on him to be your starting right tackle because he is consistently off of the football field. So I'm looking to try to replace him this offseason, whether it's via the draft or in free agency. Now, I think the draft is certainly more likely because I don't think Miami will have a lot of cap space. They already don't have a lot. Sure, they'll create close to $40 million when they make some roster moves and restructured contracts. So I don't think it's likely you sign an elite right tackle, but maybe you can sign like Jermaine Illuminor to a 2-year, like $24 million contract or somewhere in that range. I think the draft is incredibly more likely. First-round offensive tackles, specifically at right tackle, look like Spencer Fanu, Caden Proctor, and Francis Maiagawa. Now, there's actually a couple of Utah offensive linemen that could fit that mold, but the point is, I think Miami is a team that should be targeting an offensive tackle in the draft in the first couple of rounds. And it's a good thing Miami has 5 selections inside the top 100. Remember, they got their first-round pick, their second-round pick, and 3 third-round selections. And join the channel because we're going to have daily Dolphins content here. We're bringing you daily videos live 3 times a week as well. Subscribe and join the channel right now. And a lot of people are going to be asking about the draft here since I'm talking about drafting offensive tackles. The Miami Dolphins have currently the 12th overall pick right now. Certainly a change from when they were picking number 2 about 6 weeks ago when they were still 1-6. But that's what happens when you win 4 out of 5 games, folks. You bump up all the way to the 12th overall pick. And I know a lot of Dolphins fans might be upset by that and bummed that we're winning these meaningless games since it ultimately won't allow us to get into the playoffs due to just creating such a large hole for themselves. But I want people to know Miami will still have a great opportunity in the draft. We talked about it a little bit ago, but Dolphins have a lot of needs. And you will be able to draft a stud if you do the right process, the right scouting, and make the right selection. Yes, you could get a superstar in the top 5. You could get a superstar in the teens. And I'm looking at 5 specific positions. Now, I think you could eliminate wide receiver from being picked inside the first round. I don't think wide receiver 2 is that big of a need for the Dolphins to go after that in the first round. But any of these 4 positions are absolutely on the table. Edge, you need someone long-term with Chop Robinson. Talking about the right tackle spot right now. You need a long-term cornerback, and that might be the safety spot to take one of those top corners, whether it's Jermod McCoy from Tennessee or Mansour Delane from LSU. I mean, I don't think Caleb Downs will be there, but if he's there in the teens, yeah, you take Caleb Downs. You could also go after the tight end from Oregon, who's really good because you need a tight end there. My point is with trying to round out the show is that I don't think fans should worry about draft position at all. Like, I know if the Dolphins miss the playoffs, which is incredibly likely, it's frustrating to miss the playoffs and win all these games and ruin the draft pick. And I get it. If you wanted to take a quarterback, sure, it's not great because you're not going to be able to draft a Mendoza, a Simpson, or a Dante Moore at 13 or 14. But you'll be able to get an elite prospect at edge, at corner, at offensive line, which I would argue is probably what Miami should do anyway, because you build out the roster to be better, and then you bring in that young quarterback, or you trade for a QB to hopefully take you over the top and replace Tua Tagovailoa. I'll do it for today's show, but if you want more on the Miami Dolphins and want to ask me questions, well, go ahead and hit me up over on Twitter at Nick_Roloff. I'll be waiting over there.
Mailbag coming up.
Mailbag coming up. We got one more segment on the live show.
Something just threw a major wrench in. Kalani Sitake, head coach of BYU, is the favorite to land the Penn State job.
I thought we knew that.
Oh, did we know that?
I knew that.
Oh, I did not.
I saw over the weekend. I know it's Poly Market, but like they had him as the runaway favorite.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I was behind on that.
Yeah, they had him as like chances to be the next Penn State head coach. It was him at like 45%, like Dable at 20%. And
Dable would be interesting.
And I was like, I don't know how the Mormonism works. I don't know if the coach is a Mormon, but I think that would be a good hire. That's a good program.
That is a good program. I don't think you have to be Mormon to coach them, though.
You don't?
No,
just have
I
to
don't
be
think so.
Play there?
Yeah. No, I don't think so either.
They changed that?
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, Jake Retzlaff was Jewish.
But didn't he also be Mormon?
No.
Oh, never mind then. What's up, Kane Angel?
Hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat to get on the show. We need at minimum 3 more.
At minimum 3 more questions. Wow, I don't know if we're going to get there, Coop.
Oh, we are.
Oh, look at the viewership.
I trust the audience. I see Ryan in there. Yep, there you go. Ryan asked a question.
All right, we need 2 more.
2 more.
2 more questions to get on the mailbag. Two more questions.
Who's it going to be? I feel like this is lower than normal.
Yeah, I don't know.
Disappointing.
Very disappointing, but it is what it is.
Sad. Jonathan, Kane Angel, ask your questions. We could probably get away with what we have.
Dab, that's an interesting question. You got to use hashtag Dolphins in that comment though. If you copy and paste that, and then just add hashtag Dolphins at the end, you get our mailbag. How many do we have?
With Ryan's question, we have, I believe, 6.
I mean, yeah, we can get probably 8, 9, 10 minutes out of that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We'll give it a minute, get questions, and then we can roll with it.
Sounds good.
By the way, did you see the first return on Pro Bowl voting came out today?
Who cares about that?
I know, but like
I did not.
I was a little surprised with who number 1 was.
Who was it?
In the entire NFL, if you had to take one guess on who number 1 is.
Max Crosby.
Close. I think he was second. Or
really?
No, he wasn't. He's in the top 10 though.
Interesting. I have no idea.
Drake May.
Chills.
By about 4,000 votes. You mind who number 2 was? Jackson Smith and Jigba. But Drake May and the first return, leading Pro Bowl vote getter in the entire NFL.
Is he going to win the MVP?
I'll tell you what, if he puts out on a performance today in prime time, like after 2 weeks ago, I think it swung to Matthew Stafford being favored by a wide margin. He was like minus 120 to win the MVP. But he put up a stinker, like
big time.
3 or 4 turnovers against the Panthers, a team that New England beat by like 30. I don't know, man. Like if Drake May comes up and lights it up and they win the division down the stretch with missing 2 starting offensive linemen, could go back to him.
The division's wrapped. I mean,
it's not wrapped.
It would be a pretty bad collapse.
It's incredibly unlikely because they have a 2-game lead. They are 2 games up in the loss column on the Bills. Right now, the Bills are 8-4. They're 10-2. But the Bills play the Patriots again in New England. The Patriots' final schedule, I believe, is they play the Giants tonight, obviously. Then they're on bye, Bills, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins.
Yeah.
Those are their final 5 games.
I mean, that's very winnable.
So if they go 3-2, they lock up the division, assuming the 2 losses are against the Ravens and Bills, because they would split the tiebreaker, and then the Patriots would have went 5-1 in the division, and the Bills would have went 4-2.
And I don't care what you say, you can't tell me that the Denver Broncos are a good football team.
Dude, New England has kind of escaped a couple of close games against bad teams as well, but the Broncos,
they're just not good.
Do they play a game where they don't win by like 5?
Never.
Like on the last play. It's crazy. It's crazy.
They should have lost. I mean, Cliff drew a great play up. And Nick Bonito just made an unbelievable play.
Mariota was able to float it over him, the running back, and the flat was wide open. Crazy. All right, let's get into the final segment on today's show, which is a Dolphins Today mailbag. Let's do it. A midweek mailbag edition of Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nick Roloff. If you missed the opportunity to be on the mailbag, well, make sure you have notifications and you make sure you're subscribed because we go live multiple times a week, Mondays, Thursdays, and obviously on game days. This mailbag's coming from our Monday live show. AKA Miami with our leadoff question. How many years is Mike McDonald, I think that's purposefully McDonald's, and Tua going to waste our team's time? Listen, I know a lot of fans are frustrated with some of these wins because they ultimately don't matter in the grand scheme of the season because Miami is probably not going to make the playoffs. And I agree. I think the answer is 1, and that's next year. I think the Dolphins should fire Mike McDaniel after the season and hire a new head coach. Because to me, Mike McDaniel, even when the Dolphins are winning against the Commanders, against the Saints in their last 2 games, it's still not a clean operation, right? You had a lot of procedural issues. You had poor managing of the clock and timeouts, and you had poor play calling. Like, I still can't get over the Dolphins getting it 1st and 10 in the 4th quarter, up 8 at the 11-yard line, 1st and 10, and you throw it 3 straight times. It's pouring rain. You got down the field by running it down your throat, and then you're going to throw it 3 times inside the 11. What are we doing? And that's the type of stuff that drives me up a wall. And we know Tua's not going to be. Tua stinks. Like, I'm so sick and tired of watching him every Sunday. His inability to create plays out of structure and his inaccuracies and limitations physically, it's just hindering this offense's ceiling. Like, if Miami had a quarterback that, even if they wanted to just be the same level of thrower, but a guy that can create plays out the pocket, it'd be a different team. It really would. It's so frustrating. So I think the answer is 1, because I think they're both back here next season, but McDaniel should be fired. But once Tua's allowed to be moved on from, which is after the 2026 season, see ya. Joey Day with a question. Can Jalen Waddle be our new Tyreek Hill, and should Tyreek return? Well, I think Jalen Waddle absolutely is capable of being a wide receiver 1. I think we've seen that for the most part. Yeah, I know he didn't have the biggest performance against the Saints, but the passing game as a whole really wasn't good. It was more of a run-heavy game plan. He only had 3 catches for 40 yards. But since Tyreek Hill went down with an injury, I mean, we saw a lot of strong performances from Jalen Waddle. Big-time game against the Panthers, big-time game against the Chargers, against the Bills, against the Falcons. So he's capable of being a wide receiver one in this league without a question. But when you're asking about should Tyreek Hill return, it would have to be a restructured contract, but I still don't think it makes a lot of sense. Tyreek Hill has a $52.1 million cap hit in 2026. You are allowed to cut him post June 1st and save $36 million. You do it prior to June 1st, I think it's $26 million. And Miami needs that cap space to go make some additions to this roster on the D-line, the O-line, and the secondary. So I don't think Tyreek Hill should return whatsoever. It's not the player. It's just the financial aspect of it. And with a new GM coming in, I don't think Tyreek Hill returns. Pin comment on today's show. We play the Jets on Sunday in Week 14. Scale of 1 to 100, your confidence level in Miami getting a fourth straight win in New York against the Jets. I'm going 77%. Mike Nintendo Master with a question. Should or will the Dolphins draft a quarterback? Will they draft a QB? I actually say no. Hot take. Hot take. Coop's giving me wide eyes. I say no. Why? It's because I think they are intrigued with Quinn Ewers, and to kind of piggyback off of the answer I gave a little bit earlier, basically mentioning that I think Tua and Mike McDaniel will be back again next season. I think Miami is going to address their quarterback situation like this. I think if one falls to them, maybe they take them. But if you were to be honest here, Tua will be the starter next season. I think Quinn Ewers will be your primary backup since Zach Wilson will be a free agent. I do not think Miami ultimately brings him back. And you will have to find a QB3, but you don't really need one on the active roster because Quinn Ewers knows the system. And I think Mike McDaniel would feel pretty confident about him being the backup. So how I think Miami ultimately has the quarterback situation play out, I think next year in 2026, assuming McDaniel's still here, I don't want him to be, but I think he will. Tua QB1, Quinn Ewers QB2, and then you will probably either sign a free agent or have a UDFA be your practice squad emergency third quarterback on a week-to-week basis. Paul, should the Dolphins re-sign Rasul Douglas for next season? Had his first interception of the year this past week and actually called a shot too, if you will. I would bring him back on a one-year deal. I've talked a lot about what I think Miami does at the cornerback position. The Dolphins only have 3 players under contract next year at the corner spot, right? It's Juju Brents on his last year of his rookie contract. You have Storm Duck on his UDFA contract. And then you have the second-year corner at that point, Jason Marshall Jr. You're going to obviously probably have 5 or 6 53-man corners. So to me, I think Miami will add someone in free agency, add someone through the draft, and maybe bring back one of these guys on a one-year deal. I've projected Miami, I think, will very likely have these 3, bring back Jack Jones or Rasul Douglas on a one-year deal, sign another corner in free agency to a short-term, non-expensive contract, and then draft a corner in the first couple of rounds, or at least in the first 2 days, where Miami has 5 picks inside the top 100. More questions to get to here in a second, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, best time of the year, playoff pushes, bowl games, basketball matchups, and while we all here watching the games, there's one place where it feels to be good to be right, and that is over on Prize Picks. So simple to play. Just pick more or less than at least 2 player stats. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Is your fantasy season already over? You didn't make the playoffs? That's fine because you can still get in on the action by picking more or less on player stat projections every single week. Like I am for the Dolphins-Jets game this Sunday. Less than Breece Hall rushing yards, more than Devon Achane receiving yards, and more than Jalen Waddle receiving yards. I think the passing game bounces back a little bit here against a Jets secondary that hasn't been good, especially since trading away Sauce Gardner. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Clarky. What's up, Clarky? Seeing as we're not going to take QB in the first, who do you like the most as a developmental quarterback in the 4th or 5th round? I keep coming back to Taylor Green, physical freak, love from the UK. Well, I appreciate you, Clarky, and from the UK. Taylor Green, Arkansas quarterback, he certainly is a physical freak. I'm just not sure if he actually comes out. I think he has one more year of eligibility left, and I believe he might be someone that is sought after in the transfer portal. But if you're thinking about potential guys that are running out of eligibility that will be there in the middle rounds of the draft, I think the guys that really catch my eye are Carson Beck from Miami, Cade Klubnik from Clemson, Josh Hoover from TCU, Drew Aller from Penn State. Now, when I look at all those guys, I don't really feel that confident in them. I don't think they're very good. But if you're looking for developmental guys in the 4th or 5th round, I would be all in on going Drew Aller. Because like you look at some of these quarterbacks that are eligible, I think Sam Levitt is a priority transfer portal quarterback. Same thing for Darian Mensah. I think Brennan Sorsby will be a highly touted transfer portal quarterback, even though I really like Sorsby. I think Jaden Mayava from USC returns. I think Lenore Sellers actually returns as well. I think John Mateer returns to college. Like, Garrett Nussmeier will be there, but I don't really feel good about him. I think the majority of these college quarterbacks that were thought to be in the draft this year ultimately return to college. But you're talking about guys that can't return. I mentioned Aller, Hoover, Klubnik, Beck. I think my favorite out of those 4 would be Aller because he's got the physical tools that the others don't have. But Hoover certainly put up interesting numbers over at TCU. If you missed out on getting this mailbag, well, you got to be subscribed and join us for our live shows on Mondays and Thursdays. So join the channel and hit that sub button. Ryan with a question. Do you think McDaniel, if he lets someone else call plays, put more attention to detail and be organized, more importantly, to be a better leader, similar to Sirianni with the Eagles? Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a fair question because Sirianni was a offensive coordinator, offensive mind. That's how he got the job in Philly, but he's now more of a overarching head coach, a CEO type, rather than a play caller like he was early on in his career. I just don't think it would really make that big of a difference, Ryan, if I'll be honest. Because I really like what McDaniel has done with his play designs. And no one knows the play designs better than him, so it makes sense for him to call the plays. But it just gets so frustrating, especially watching the Dolphins run the ball effectively and then get inside the 15-yard line and not run it once. That doesn't make any sense to me. But when you also talk about being more organized and attention to detail, that's just all about the procedure. And maybe someone else running the procedure, like if Frank Smith or Darrell Bever were calling plays, maybe the procedure would be better. But it's still just is frustrating. It's just as frustrating, man. And it's why I consistently will say that I think Mike McDaniel still has to be fired. Because we're so far into his tenure here and into the season, and you're still seeing these minor sloppy mistakes pop up week after week after week. That's why I'm not being fooled by this winning streak. Still needs to go. John, do you think if the running back from Notre Dame is there in round 2, would you take him? You're talking about Jeremiah Love, who is, I would argue, maybe the best player in this draft. Like, if you just take away all position values in the NFL and just say who's the best at their respective position in comparison to their peers, I think Jeremiah Love is the best in that category. But he's a running back, and Miami doesn't need a running back. So even if he's there in the second, I think you would borderline have to because the talent's so undeniable. But then if you're doing that, I think you have to trade Devon Achane. Like, if you trade Achane and draft Love in the second, sure. But it's kind of redundant to use a top 50 pick on a running back, no matter how elite he is, when you have a top 5 running back already on your roster. So I would actually think I would say no to that because I don't really want to trade Devon Achane. I would keep Devon Achane and then use the pick somewhere else. But I don't think this is also something Miami would have to worry about. Why? Because Jeremiah Love is a surefire, no doubt, top 20 pick. And I know it's a different age in the NFL, and is this crazy to say, Coop? And call me out. And I want you, if I'm way off on this, to unmute yourself and call me a psycho. But is Jeremiah Love on the same level of Saquon Barkley coming out of Penn State?
It's close. I would say Saquon's probably more accomplished as a prospect and is probably looked at as a better prospect. Jeremiah Love's not going to go top 5 like Saquon did, but, I mean, he's really damn good. He's closer to Zeke Elliott, I think, than Saquon.
Well, both those players you mentioned, Coop, went top 5
Yes,
in the draft.
Did.
Jeremiah Love will not go top 5. Let's just say quick spitball here for all my people watching live and on the video end. Well, sorry about this. But you look at the draft order right now, and you talk about Jeremiah Love and where he could fall. Like, you imagine a team that is like a running back away would take him. Like, you don't think a rebuilding team. Like, I don't think the Titans would take him. I don't think the Saints would. Giants, probably not. Raiders, no. Browns, no. Commanders at 6, maybe. Jets, no. Cardinals, I don't think so. The Rams at 9, whereas it gets interesting. Because like the Rams have the Falcons pick. Maybe they go quarterback, but they could go Jeremiah Love and just say, okay, here's an elite offense with Stafford. Bengals, probably not. Vikings, probably not. Dolphins, no. Chiefs at 13, if they stay there. I think that's where Jeremiah Love's the bottom is. Jeremiah Love's floor is the Chiefs in the draft. Ceiling right now, I think, might be the Commanders or Rams. Sorry for that, but I just thought it was a fun thought experiment. That'll do it for today's mailbag. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us here. Make sure you are subscribed for more Dolphins coverage.
Can you go off on the guy the most recent chat message?
Yeah, I saw him at the end.
I really wanted you to cook him.
Season says, why are you a Tua hater? You suck, by the way. Well, Season, thank you for subscribing and being a fanboy and watching me. That's always nice to see you guys in the chat. Number 2, why are you a Tua dick rider? I'm assuming you're a dick rider if you are going to be someone that calls me a hater. The guy fucking sucks. And you know what? This drives me up a wall.
I know. Oh, I know.
You go back 3, 6, 5. I advocated. There are multiple videos on the channel. There are tweets. I thought the Dolphins should pay Tua. Before the 2024 season, I said Miami should pay Tua an extension because I thought he was going to take another step forward in 2023. He finally played a full 17 games. I was like, all right, he is going to be someone who continues to take this next step up and elevates under Mike McDaniel. I advocated for him to get paid.
You did.
I defended him. But a dumbass, which is probably you, not me, is unable to change their outlook on a take. My take was that they should pay Tua and commit to him. But now it is abundantly obvious that he is holding back this Dolphins offense. He has clearly declined physically in his ability to create outside the pocket and use his legs and his arm strength and up here. So I decided to have the decision to change my stance on Tua from defensive and defend him to someone who realizes he needs to be moved on from to go on.
Opinions change as information comes out.
So that's the answer, Season. Dumbass.
No banning?
No. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I figured you would. That's why I kind of teed you up for it.
I mean, Dad puts it up specific. We are not Tua haters. Problem is, he is a system quarterback from the past. If the planets align, he is awesome. Successful quarterbacks today need to play backyard football at times, which Tua can't do. Bingo.
I mean, what was the play yesterday where he could have easily ran for the first down?
Yeah, it was a 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9, and he was scrambling out to his left. It was in the first half, and if he just turns upfield and runs, he at least picks up 8 or 9 yards before he has to slide. Instead, he tries to loft it to Cedric Wilson Jr. over 2 defenders, and he overthrows him.
Joke.
Like, just take the yardage. Like, he's not able to use his legs. He's scared. It's just terrible. It's terrible.
Not good.
Tony says, what game was he watching on Sunday? I don't know. Are you asking me or Season? I don't know. Season says, where is your father? I don't know. He's in Fort Myers, Florida. Having a good time.
Probably golfing?
No, he doesn't really golf that much. I just can't stand the people that, like, they get so attached to a player that, like, any type of criticism.
It's like a personal attack.
Is looked at as hate. And like people, they're legitimately people like, because I say Tua is not the QB1 of the future and he needs to be moved off of going forward, they take that as an attack on Dolphins fans in themselves.
Which is just not the case.
It's like pick me.
Yeah, it's a joke.
It's like minuscule middle brother syndrome. It's terrible.
My favorite basketball player of all time is Luka Doncic. You're telling me I can't criticize him just because he's my favorite player?
Like, yeah. Like,
I mean, what are we doing?
Like you really, like, you know, for 1,000% certainty, if I was to a meat rider and said that the Dolphins shouldn't give up on him, Season would think I'm awesome.
Oh,
Love
absolutely.
my take. But because I say he stinks, he's like, oh, you suck.
If you're looking for sunshine and rainbows, we're not here. We're not for you.
Right. Like we're fans of. I mean, I'm not wearing a Dolphins shirt. I'm wearing a Heat shirt today. We're fans, and I say this even for the Heat too. Am I fans of some of the players specifically? Absolutely. I will defend some that I think deserve defending. But first and foremost, it's all about the logo. I couldn't give two shits who is on the team long as they win.
Just wait until you trade the best player in the NBA in the middle of the night.
I care about the logo, not the players. True. Like, you obviously hope the players are good, fun, and they play well, but the overarching important thing is winning.
No doubt.
And people like Season really think Tua is going to be the person who delivers a Super Bowl to Miami in a playoff win regardless. That hasn't happened in 25 years.
Well, that's why he's commenting, and that's why we're here.
Listen, you can defend Tua, and Tua got the raw end of the stick in the early parts of his career. Not a lot of protection, a lot of hits. But at this stage in his career, you have to evaluate him on the now, not the past, and the now sucks.
It's bad.
Now sucks.
On that note, you ready to get out of here?
Yeah, I got to go live on the Heat channel in an hour. So I'll see you guys. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us here on this Monday live show with videos out the next couple of days. And we'll be live once again on Thursday. So appreciate you all for Coop Rolly. Peace out.